The 1970s, a decade of raw power, bold design, and trucks that didn't just work hard. They looked tough doing it. This was the golden age of torque, steel, and pure mechanical muscle, when every brand wanted to prove who built the strongest truck on Earth. From unstoppable workhorses to roaring V8 monsters, these machines defined an era when horsepower was king. Get ready for the 10 trucks that defined the 1970s power era. The trucks that turned grit into glory. Number 1. Kenworth W900. If the 1970s had a crown jewel in the trucking world, it was the Kenworth W900, the undisputed king of the open road. Born in the late 1960s and dominating through the 70s, the W900 was the truck that every driver dreamed of. The rig that turned heads at truck stops and ruled the asphalt like a rolling monument to American horsepower. Everything about the W900 screamed power and pride. The long, polished hood, the towering twin chrome stacks, the stretched wheelbase and glistening grille that looked like it could swallow the highway whole. It wasn't just a machine, it was a statement, a declaration that the man behind the wheel wasn't just hauling freight, he was commanding a legend. Under that massive hood, Kenworth offered a range of engines that defined the power era. Cummins NTC big cams, Detroit diesel 8V71 two-strokes, and later the legendary Cat 3400-6. These beasts could churn out torque figures that made hills irrelevant. In an age before electronic control, everything was raw: the power, the sound, and the experience. The W900's cab was both functional and iconic. The wraparound dashboard, the solid metal switches, and the low rumbling vibration that came through the floor gave drivers the feeling of piloting a steel locomotive. Long haulers called it home because that's exactly what it became: a rolling house, a place to eat, sleep, and live for weeks on end. The W900's fame soared when it starred in pop culture, from the hit TV show Moving On to the silver screen. Suddenly, the Kenworth wasn't just a truck, it was a symbol of independence, grit, and the American spirit. Even today, more than 50 years later, the W900's design remains largely unchanged. That's how timeless it is. The 1970s didn't just define the W900 defined the 1970s. Number 2. Peterbilt 359. If the Kenworth W900 was the king, then the Peterbilt 359 was the crown prince of the 1970s. Equally powerful, equally beautiful, and dripping with chrome from grille to tail. It wasn't just a truck, it was art in motion. A long-nosed American dream roaring through the night with twin stacks blazing. Introduced in 1967, the 359 became Peterbilt's flagship during the 1970s. Its sleek, long hood design and hand-polished aluminum body panels made it lighter and faster than most competitors. The 359 quickly gained a reputation among owner-operators who wanted something more than just a machine. They wanted a personalized statement of pride. The heart of the 359 came from its engine bay, where drivers could choose between Cummins, Caterpillar, or Detroit diesel power plants. Many went for the Cat 3400-6 or the Cummins Big Cam NTC 400, engines that could pull 80,000 pounds through mountain passes without flinching. And when those twin stacks roared, it wasn't just noise, it was music to a trucker's soul. Inside, Peterbilt did what no one else was doing: comfort. The cab was smaller than modern trucks but refined for its time, featuring better insulation, comfortable seats, and that signature dash layout that made every switch and gauge feel like part of a cockpit. But what truly made the 359 famous was its style. It was the truck of choice for the independent cowboy of the road. Long nose, custom paint, stainless steel trim, spotlights, horns, every trucker turned their 359 into a masterpiece. It became the ultimate symbol of pride and freedom. The Peterbilt 359 wasn't just a truck, it was an attitude. It captured the essence of the 1970s trucking boom: individuality, strength, and rebellion. Even after production ended in 1987, the legend never died. To this day, restored 359s are worshipped like vintage muscle cars. In short, the 359 was more than a machine. It was the soul of the open road, the shining chrome face of the 1970s power era. Number 3. Mack RS700L. While the Kenworth and Peterbilt ruled the highways in chrome and luxury, the Mack RS700L ruled with sheer muscle and attitude. This wasn't a pretty truck. It was a fighter. Known as the Bulldog, the RS700L was the workhorse that took on the nastiest hauls and lived to tell the tale. It was the truck for drivers who didn't care about shiny paint or polished tanks. They cared about getting the job done. Introduced in the early 1970s, the RS700L carried on Mack's proud tradition of building indestructible rigs. The RS stood for ruggedness, and it lived up to that name in every possible way. With its long hood, tall stance, and blunt bulldog nose, the truck looked like it could punch through a mountain. The Mack's heart was pure steel. Engines like the Mack E6 and E9 Maxidine diesels were famous for their massive torque and bulletproof reliability. The Maxidine engines revolutionized the trucking industry with their wide power band, meaning less shifting and more pulling power, ideal for heavy loads on steep grades. The RS700L's cab was simple but tough, all steel, no nonsense. The view over that massive hood made every driver feel 10 feet tall, and when you heard the Maxidine engine's deep growl echo through a canyon, it was unmistakable. That was a Mack coming. In the logging industry, in heavy-haul fleets, and on construction sites, the RS700L earned its reputation. It could take punishment that would destroy lesser trucks. Trucking legends say these rigs could run 1,000,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and grease. The Mack RS700L was never about glamour. It was about guts. It didn't need chrome to look powerful. Its presence, its sound, and that little bulldog hood ornament said it all. I'll outwork anyone. The 1970s power era wasn't just about flash. It was about strength, and nobody embodied raw power better than the Mack RS700L. Number 4. International Transtar II 4070. When it came to dominating long-haul freight in the 1970s, few trucks were as common or as respected as the International Transtar II, known by its model number 47AA. This was the truck that built America's highways one load at a time, the backbone of the fleet industry and a symbol of dependable power. The Transtar II was International Harvester's evolution of its CO4070 series, featuring a cab-over engine (COE) layout that maximized trailer space and maneuverability. The squared cab and commanding view from the high driver's seat made it instantly recognizable, a rolling brick of power built for efficiency and endurance. Under the cab, the Transtar II packed serious firepower. Drivers could spec it with Cummins NTC 350s, Detroit Diesel 8V71s, or Caterpillar 3406s, the holy trinity of 1970s diesel power. These engines gave the Transtar enough grunt to haul across mountain ranges and deserts without breaking a sweat. And with 13 and 15-speed Fuller Road Ranger gearboxes, this truck could make light work of even the heaviest loads. Inside, the Transtar II was pure 1970s vinyl seats, wood-grain dash panels, and a maze of switches that made every driver feel like an airline pilot. It wasn't luxury, but it was tough, reliable, and surprisingly ergonomic for the time. Long-haul truckers loved it because it just worked. Every day, every mile, without complaint. The COE design gave it a unique personality. It looked compact and mean, like a bulldog on wheels. And when fleets lined up rows of Transtar IIIs at truck stops across America, they became the image of 1970s logistics, hard-working, unsung heroes of the interstate. The Transtar II wasn't glamorous, but it was everywhere, the backbone of American transport in its most powerful decade. While Kenworths and Petes stole the spotlight, the International Transtar II did the heavy lifting that kept the country moving. It defined what it meant to be a true working-class truck of the 1970s. Not fancy, but fearless. Number 5. Freightliner FLT. The 1970s were a time when big power met new ideas, and Freightliner was at the center of that evolution. While many manufacturers were building heavier, bulkier rigs, Freightliner went the other way. They believed lighter meant better, more efficient, faster, and easier on fuel. The result? The Freightliner FLT, a truck that redefined long-haul performance and became a symbol of innovation on American highways. The FLT Freightliner Long Hood Tandem debuted in the early 70s with a lightweight aluminum cab, a revolutionary move at the time. This design shaved hundreds of pounds off the total weight, meaning more payload and better fuel economy. In an era where every gallon of diesel mattered, especially after the 1973 oil crisis, that mattered. Beneath that aerodynamic, riveted body, the FLT offered serious muscle. Detroit Diesel 8V71 and 12V71 engines, along with Cummins NTC and Caterpillar 3406 options. These engines gave the truck raw, relentless power while keeping weight balanced perfectly across the axles. Visually, the FLT looked like the future: sleek, forward-tilting cab, bold Freightliner badge, and clean lines that made it stand out from the boxy trucks of the era. Owner-operators loved the truck's modular build. Parts were easy to replace, repairs were fast, and the aluminum didn't rust. In fleets, it proved itself durable and reliable, especially in high-mileage operations. Inside, the FLT had a surprisingly comfortable layout for the time: large windows, padded dash, and the kind of space that made weeks on the road bearable. It may not have had the luxury of later rigs, but it was a pioneer in ergonomics. By the late 1970s, Freightliner had firmly established itself as a leader in innovation. The FLT wasn't the flashiest truck on the road, but it was one of the smartest, combining power, lightness, and efficiency into a single, unstoppable package. It was the truck that proved brains and brawn could ride together, paving the way for the Freightliner dominance we still see today. Number 6. White Western Star 4864. In the 1970s, when trucks were judged by the size of their hoods and the shine of their chrome, few rigs commanded more respect than the White Western Star 4. Born from White Motor Company's engineering and Western Star's rugged refinement, this truck was designed to be a driver's dream and a fleet owner's favorite weapon against the toughest routes in North America. The 4864 was all muscle. It featured a heavy-duty steel frame, a long aluminum hood, and a stance that made it look ready to pull mountains. Underneath, it offered the full arsenal of power plants: Cummins NTC 350s, Detroit 8V71s, and Caterpillar 3406s, engines that defined torque in the pre-electronic era. This was a truck made for the high country: logging routes, mountain passes, and the Canadian frontier. Its build quality was unmatched: thick steel fenders, solid cab mounts, and a suspension system designed to take punishment mile after mile. Many Ford 864s were ordered with double-frame rails for heavy-haul work, and their reliability made them legends among owner-operators. But it wasn't just muscle. The Western Star had style. The 1970s 4864s were dripping with chrome, twin stacks, bullet marker lights, and that iconic 5-point star emblem on the grille. It had presence, the kind of truck that made kids at truck stops stop and stare. Every line said, "I'm built for business, but I look damn good doing it." Inside, it was surprisingly refined for its day. Western Star emphasized driver comfort before most manufacturers did, offering better insulation, a smoother ride, and well-crafted interiors. It was powerful, yes, but also a truck that respected the man behind the wheel. The White Western Star 4864 became a bridge between eras, rugged like the 1950s rigs, yet elegant like the ones that came after. It was a trucker's truck, built by people who actually listened to truckers. In the golden age of diesel, the Western Star was steel, style, and soul rolled into one unstoppable rig. Number 7. GMC Astro 95. If the 1970s had a futuristic truck, it was the GMC Astro 95, a bold cab-over-engine design that looked like it rolled out of a sci-fi movie and straight onto the interstate. Its wide, flat front, sweeping windshield, and futuristic name all screamed progress, And that's exactly what GMC was aiming for. The Astro 95 wasn't new in concept. GMC had been building COE trucks since the 60s, but by the 1970s it had perfected the design. The cab was large, tall, and aerodynamic for its time. The wide glass gave drivers an unmatched view of the road, while the bold chrome grille gave it an unmistakable face. Beneath the cab, the Astro 95 offered the same heavy-hitting diesel options as its conventional competitors: Detroit Diesel 8V71s, Cummins NTC 350s, and Caterpillar 3406. Its lightweight aluminum cab construction made it more efficient, and the tilting cab design made maintenance easier, a huge plus for fleet operators. Drivers either loved or hated the Astro. Some found its square shape awkward and its driving position high and loud. Others loved the commanding view and the sense of piloting something advanced. Either way, it made an impression, especially with its sweeping side panels and chrome headlight surrounds that gave it a personality all its own. The Astro was also a favorite among large fleets like Allied Van Lines and Yellow Freight, who appreciated its dependability and ease of service. It was the unsung hero of American logistics, moving freight day and night while the flashier rigs got the attention. Today, the GMC Astro stands as a unique relic of the 1970s, a machine that dared to look different and push truck design forward. It wasn't built to be beautiful, it was built to be bold, and in that it succeeded spectacularly. Number 8. Ford CLT 9000s. By the late 1970s, the trucking world was changing fast, and Ford wanted in. Their answer was the Ford CLT 9000, one of the most advanced, aerodynamic, and comfortable trucks of its time. When it hit the highways in 1978, it looked like nothing else out there, sleek, smooth, and futuristic. The CLT 9000 was a cab-over model, but it didn't look like a typical square box. Ford engineers gave it a sloped front windshield and rounded edges to reduce drag, something revolutionary in the fuel-conscious post-oil crisis era. It was one of the first trucks designed with aerodynamics in mind, long before wind tunnels became common in trucking. But this wasn't just about looks. Under the cab, Ford offered serious muscle: Cummins Big Cam 400s, Detroit Diesel 8V92s, and Caterpillar 3406s, all powerhouses of the decade. Paired with fuller 13-speed Road Ranger transmissions, the CLT 9000 was a performer on long hauls. Inside, it was a revelation. Ford treated drivers like professionals, giving them comfort and control. The cab was quiet, spacious, and offered air ride seats, sound insulation, and improved climate systems. For truckers used to tin box interiors, it felt like a luxury liner. Visually, the CLT 9000 stood apart with its clean lines, full-width grille, and distinctive blue Ford badge. It was a truck that looked ready for the 1980s before the 1970s had even ended. Fleet buyers loved its efficiency, while owner-operators appreciated its futuristic style and comfort. Though it arrived late in the decade, the CLT 9000 represented a major leap forward, signaling the end of the raw, boxy 1970s era and the beginning of the aerodynamic revolution. It was the truck that proved Ford could go toe-to-toe with the industry's best, and sometimes even outshine them. Number 9. Mack Superliner. When Mack Trucks unveiled the Superliner in 1977, it was like the return of a heavyweight champion. The Superliner was big, brash, and beautiful in the toughest way possible. A truck built not just to haul, but to dominate. This long hood conventional was Mack's answer to the flashy chrome rigs from Kenworth and Peterbilt, and it delivered with attitude. The Superliner featured Mack's trademark toughness wrapped in a new, more luxurious package. Beneath the bold hood, the E9 V8 diesel or E6 Maxidine six-cylinder engines delivered jaw-dropping torque and reliability. These engines were legendary for their pulling power and ability to run forever with minimal maintenance. Visually, the Superliner was all Mack, square lines, huge grille, and the iconic bulldog ornament proudly leading the charge. But this time, it came dressed to impress: polished tanks, stainless trim, and optional sleeper cabs that made long-haul life easier. Inside, Mack introduced new comfort features, better insulation, more ergonomic controls, and plusher seats. It was still rugged, but now it had finesse. The Superliner was adored by heavy-haul operators, logging fleets, and anyone who needed serious strength. It could pull 120,000 pounds of freight through mountain passes and look good doing it. It became so iconic that even Mack's modern lineup still carries its DNA, rugged power, unmistakable style, and that never-quit spirit. In an age of industrial titans, the Mack Superliner stood tall as the muscle truck of the 1970s, a machine that could take punishment, deliver results, and look like a champion the entire time. Number 10. Autocar DC9964. Long before heavy-duty became a marketing term, there was Autocar. And in the 1970s, their DC9964 model proved why the brand was synonymous with durability. Autocar didn't build pretty trucks. They built tanks with wheels, and the DC9964 was the peak of that philosophy. This was the truck you saw pulling 100-ton loads out of mines, hauling oversized machinery, or towing trailers that dwarfed lesser rigs. Its double-frame construction, reinforced steel cab, and high-torque diesel options made it virtually unbreakable. With engines like the Cummins NTC 400 and Detroit Diesel 12-volt 71, it had enough pulling power to make mountains nervous. The DC9964's cab was brutally simple, nothing fancy, just gauges, switches, and bare steel. But that's what drivers loved. It was a working truck built for the hardest jobs on Earth. Even the doors closed with a heavy metallic thud that reminded you this was no lightweight. Visually, the Autocar looked like it was carved from a single block of steel. Its squared grille, tough stance, and low-slung frame made it intimidating. Truckers joked that if a collision happened, you'd fix the other vehicle. The Autocar would keep going. The company's slogan, "Still Trucking Strong," fit perfectly. In an age when chrome and style ruled the highways, Autocar remained faithful to what mattered most, uncompromising strength. Today, the DC9964 is a cult classic among collectors and heavy-haul operators who remember when trucks were built to outlive their drivers. It was the truck that didn't flinch, didn't bend, and didn't quit. A fitting finale to the golden age of 1970s power. The 1970s gave us more than just trucks. It gave us legends. Machines built from steel, sweat, and pure determination. Which one do you think was the ultimate symbol of 1970s power? Tell me in the comments. If you love classic muscle trucks, vintage power, and the golden age of American engineering, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notification for more stories from trucking history's most powerful decade. Thanks for watching. And remember, real power never fades. It just gets louder with time.